Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim?
Cross your eyes and scream, man. Scream for your life.
Welcome, Scream Queens, Kings, and Things. Whether you're screaming at movies or the real life stuff, I'm your host, Jenica Olin. This is my 64th episode, and my theme is Motherhood in May, uncovering the horrors of pregnancy. Today, in our story, we have a woman who is violated, and she is told that she has to give birth to this thing. She has a higher purpose. Cases of women being forced to give birth are not as rare as we would like to think. We are facing a resurgence of this type of thing right now, and it's scary. And the movie Immaculate really shows how frightening it is to be a woman without control of your body, where other people are making decisions for you and telling you that you're fine, but you know that you don't feel fine. Something is wrong, but no one's listening to you. Instead, they're treating you like an incubator. In the wake of the 2022 overturn of Roe v. Wade, new horror films are finding fertile ground in the way religious institutions and the men who typically run them seek to control women's bodies. While many religious organizations provide support for parents, there are documented cases where institutions or sects have used psychological coercion, isolation, or legal loopholes to force individuals to carry pregnancies to term or give birth in dangerous situations. There are allegations against the 2x2s, also known as the truth or the way, highlighting a systemic pattern of reproductive coercion, where unmarried mothers were pressured into relinquishing their children to maintain the church's image of purity. Recent investigations by the BBC and NDTV have brought forward accounts from women who allege they were given no option but to carry their pregnancies to term and then immediately hand over their babies for adoption. Former members report that 3 out of every 4 interviewed women feared being cast out of the church and sent to hell if they refused to comply with the adoption demands. In this, we have institutional pressure. The coercion was often facilitated by senior ministers who would pressure unmarried mothers, sometimes as young as 17, and also victims of rape, to give their infants to married couples within the church. This went on for far too long. These adoptions were established to have occurred by the hundreds between the 1950s and the 1990s. Many of these children now report experiencing abuse and neglect within their adoptive families. So there is still a lot happening with that specific case, and I will share information about that case in my show notes. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Today, I'll be covering the 2024 film Immaculate, written by Andrew Lapel, directed by Michael Mohan, starring Sydney Sweeney, Alvaro Morde, and Simona Tabasco. It's spelled like Tabasco. The estimated budget was $9 million. The estimated gross was $34 million. The tagline for this movie is "Deliver Her from Evil." Some quick trivia about this film. Sydney Sweeney auditioned for this film in 2024 when she was 17, but the project never materialized. Years later, she took on the role of a producer and reached out to the writer, acquired and revised the script, hired a director. She found the money and then sold the film to Neon. In an interview with IMDb, Sydney Sweeney revealed that her grandmas appear in both church scenes. She explained, "In both of the church scenes where I was walking with a candle down the aisle, there in the first 2 rows, and then in the scene where I was being crowned and everyone in the congregation singing, they're standing in the front row next to Mother Superior." So those are her grandmothers. Both Immaculate and The First Omen have almost identical plots, and both were released in cinema within 2 weeks of each other. 2 saints are mentioned in the film. The convent is said to be built over the catacombs holding Saint Stephen and Saint Helena. Saint Stephen is considered the very first Christian martyr, a deacon appointed by Paul of the original 12 apostles. Stephen was stoned to death shortly after the resurrection of Christ for blasphemy after giving a speech condemning Jewish authorities. Relics of St. Stephen were brought and interred in Italy. St. Helena was the mother of Emperor Constantine. She went on a pilgrimage tour of the Holy Lands to build churches and collect holy relics around 326 to 7 AD. According to Christian tradition, she discovered the true cross Jesus was crucified upon while on this pilgrimage, along with the nails of crucifixion and many other relics. So that's where they got the nail from. If you're new here, each episode will have a brief synopsis of the movie, an analysis of the film. Spoiler alert, I've made it my job to spoil the shit out of this movie.
I know God saved me for a reason, but I guess I'm still searching for what that reason is. Too much blood of Christ.
It's a miracle. You are with child.
Sister Mary sneaks into Superior's bedroom at night, steals a ring of keys to escape through the locked gates of the Roman Catholic convent. She is captured and knocked unconscious by 4 hooded figures. She later wakes up in a coffin and is buried alive. Sister Cecilia turned to Christianity at a young age after she nearly drowned in a frozen lake and was declared dead for 7 minutes. Convinced that God had saved her for a purpose, she received an invitation from Father Sal Tedeschi to join a convent in Italy that tends to the dying nuns in their last days. Cecilia takes vows to adhere to the evangelical counsels and becomes a nun, being decorated with a rosemary. She befriends Sister Gwen and is struck by certain oddities, such as the elder nun having scars on her feet in the shape of crosses. The convent's chapel houses what they claim is the holy nail relic that was taken from the cross on which Jesus was crucified. Cecilia is shocked to learn that she is pregnant, even though she is a virgin. The convent's inhabitants begin to treat her as the next Virgin Mary, with many proclaiming the child is a blessing. Another nun, Sister Isabel, tries to drown Cecilia out of jealousy, saying that it should have been her. Cecilia throws up one of her teeth, and her health worsens. Her request to be taken to a proper hospital is denied by Father Tedeschi. At night, Cecilia notices that behind a painting of the Virgin Mary in her room, another nun had inscribed 2 Corinthians 11:14 on the wall, a hidden warning causing her to realize that something is wrong about this convent. Cecilia breaks open a drawer to read her file and is shocked to find information on the incident in her childhood. Hearing a woman screaming, she ventures further and is horrified to witness hooded figures cutting out Gwen's tongue. An elder nun appears and silences Cecilia. She begs to escape, but the elder chastises her, saying no one ever leaves the convent. She tries to escape the convent by faking a miscarriage using a dead chicken, but the deception is exposed. She attempts to run before being forcibly brought back by Tedeschi and Enzo. Tedeschi explains that he was a geneticist before becoming a priest and used DNA samples from the Holy Nail relic to impregnate nuns in the hopes of ushering in a new Messiah. Until his success with Cecilia, Tedeschi's numerous attempts failed, often resulting in malformed fetuses. Tedeschi brands a cross on Cecilia's foot, a symbol also on many of the other nuns. Cecilia makes another attempt to escape. She beats Mother Superior to death with a crucifix, and shortly after, her water breaks. She manages to strangle the cardinal with her rosemary before dousing Tedeschi's lab in ethanol. Tedeschi arrives and tries to stop her through physical force, but Cecilia narrowly escapes by lighting the ethanol with a lighter. Somehow, Tedeschi manages to break out of the laboratory after extinguishing the flames. and continues to pursue Cecilia. forcing her to flee into the catacombs under the convent. Cecilia finds Gwen's mutilated corpse along with a hole in the catacombs wall. Tadashi finds her just as she is about to escape, and a struggle ensues. Tadashi tries to cut Cecilia's stomach open, but she stabs him in the throat with the holy nail relic, which she had previously stolen from the chapel. After exiting the catacombs, Cecilia agonizingly gives birth and bites through the umbilical cord herself. She is clearly horrified by the sight of the baby, which is heard making gurgling and growling noises while gasping for air. Cecilia stumbles away to grab and lift a nearby rock. All right, now it's time to talk horror, and my guest today is KJ Brantley. She is a horror author that covers topics of maternal gothic and eco-folk horror. She's also the founder of SoCo Woman and Horror Festival, host of the Uncanny Woman podcast, launching this month, and her debut novel, What Grows Within, is out for query now. So you are a powerhouse of a woman in horror. How is everything going with the novel? Tell me everything.
Oh, well, thank you, Janica. I appreciate that. I don't consider myself a powerhouse, so that's really nice to hear you say that, because I think the same about you.
Oh.
But yeah, so thanks for having me on here. And my novel right now, so I do the SoCo Women in Horror Fest, obviously you mentioned that, and I'm doing my podcast. So outside of supporting women in horror, I do have a novel that I've written. And it does happen to be a maternal gothic eco-folk horror novel. So it's mountain gothic, and it does focus on, some Ophelia. She's a postpartum mother who has a very dangerous postpartum episode, and also a traumatic history of a mother she ended up murdering Ophelia's siblings in the past during a postpartum psychosis episode. So she's eventually coerced, forced to go to this exclusive retreat in a refurbished, abandoned mining town in the Colorado mountains. And it is really a face for something a lot more insidious. So I'm really excited I'm querying that now, which means that it's going out to different agents, and I've had some requests already. So I'm hoping to be able to bring that to everyone soon in the public, but I also have some scheduled readings as well, so some people can get some sneak peeks of it in the meantime. So I'm very interested in the film that we chose today, because I do think there are some threads and overlaps with the themes that I attend to in my novel and some of my other writings. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. As women, we tend to underplay what we do. I think it's so funny that you think I'm a powerhouse, because I'm nothing. I'm like a little speck. But but it's so great to talk to other women in horror where we can build up our confidence, because we are pretty amazing, but we don't have this cockiness like the men within the same space as us.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter who they are. If they're just a small time or big time, they have the confidence.
Yeah.
In the room. So I agree with you. That's why we're building each other up.
Yes. That's such an interesting concept, though, that there's family trauma within your story, like a mental health history going on, all that.
Intergenerational, and also that nurture versus nature. But also, exploring more behind that, that also, will I become my mother? And also those expectations. I think there's that intergenerational piece as well, even women from different generations having a certain expectation that trails for a woman, for a mother, that pressure that's still there no matter what decade, and so on. So I think, that's also a theme.
Very cool. I think it sounds really interesting, especially being forced to go to some retreat to take care of it, because that takes away your autonomy. A woman's like right to her body and everything is such a huge part of being pregnant, and something that is a thread within all of these horror stories about birth, because our freedom of choice is kind of taken away. We're told that we are here for now a greater purpose. And so like our own desires, our own self has to kind of be on the back burner. And it's such a weird thing to be told and have all these rules just like being thrown at you. And, there's so many expectations. And then for a man to say, like, we're pregnant, like, no, we're not. I'm pregnant.
Yeah, don't even go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so let's get into Immaculate. So we kind of have this spiritual rebirth with Cecilia. She enters the convent and it's kind of framed like a rebirth. She's getting a new life. She has a new opportunity. She's starting over again. She's leaving behind her past in America. She had a near-death experience, which makes her unique here. Her vows signal a death of her former self and rebirth into religious devotion. And the rebirth is initially voluntary. Cecilia chooses to be remade in the image of faith. So what did you connect with, like the rebirth and all of that in the beginning of the film?
So yeah, I think, I did notice that, there was that theme of rebirth. I also think, even before that, before she does actually give her vows, Cecilia even alludes to or even foreshadows this at the scene where she's with the customs, I think, in Italy, when she says, I don't see it as a choice. And she's speaking of her vows. And I think that really does like foreshadow everything that she's getting herself into.
That's a really good observation. Yeah, the like not seeing it as a choice, and she isn't given a choice later on. A lot of people, if you're spiritual, if you're religious, you think of things as predestined, and it's almost like for this, it's predestined. It's a funny way of being predestined. There's a lot of actual conversation about, is destiny chosen, or do you have free will? And there is some discussion that I didn't even put in this that we can definitely have over, even in this film, if the God in this film wanted this to happen or not. So that's interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I hope I'm not getting too far into this. Like I'll just go with what comes to mind at the time. But when you talk about that, the God, what did he think about it? I think I would say no, not that I know what he would think, but I would at least say I think it is showing it's a construct of the patriarchy or of men trying to put their own meaning upon and use of God in this. And therefore, I also think that having at the end, it become this distortion, this like monster, as the result is actually, I think, showing that it was God looking down on this whole situation, at least in my mind. That's how I interpreted
No,
that.
I did too. And, we see at this scene whenever everything's kind of revealed in the end and she gets into the laboratory and there are all these like fetuses and like test tubes and stuff. Like it's obvious it wasn't working. He kept trying, right? The priest kept trying, and you made me think of it was his logic. One thing he says is that if God didn't want me to do this, he would stop me.
Ignoring all of the previous signs. Yes. Oh, which I also thought this is like going into that body as a vessel piece, is that when you see the women, especially that one woman that shows up is almost like a foil character for Cecilia. You see the upside down crosses on her feet that are like her branded, like it's her being branded. I also see those women as potential, maybe failed vessels themselves, which shows you like how long have they been trying to do this, and failing at it, like ignoring the signs of God, if you will.
Yeah, no, that is so disturbing. Like the stuff with like branding them on their feet to keep them from being able to run away. It's
Yes,
terrifying.
very terrifying.
There's a lot of imagery when it comes to like every time they were in the bathtub, I just thought, oh, this looks like a baptism.
You're right. Yes, the white, like you put the white clothes, and they're like nude underneath though, and yeah, which I was like, I'm not sure what if that was like trying to say something there actually, but they look like yeah, they're being baptized, like born again.
They were definitely, I mean, they were definitely sexualizing the nuns in
Yes, yes,
this.
yeah. Whether for like Hollywood purposes or or otherwise, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's there. And one thing that I thought was weird was the fact that she's American. She did not speak their language, but she
Mhm.
was there. And I guess she gets a pass because she wants to devote herself to them. But it also makes for a weird dynamic because she doesn't always understand what's happening.
Which does, oh, I didn't even think of that, but that does sound very, that does seem very intentional. You know, the less you understand, the better, the easier she can be coerced. And
Just like
yeah,
she's an outsider for sure there.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even, yeah, think of that, but that's right.
I mean, I didn't really think of it before this, but just as I talk about it and stuff, like stuff that I wouldn't even put in my notes, like I always will pick up on little things that's why it's nice to talk to another person
Yeah,
because you'll be like, hear what they're saying,
yeah.
like, oh yeah, that reminds me of this.
Yeah, and that actually I think is almost like gaslighting before it's even, before she's even there. She's already like ripe for gaslighting,
Yeah.
not being able to understand what anyone is saying. Hmm.
Yeah, they knew like how vulnerable she was. And so it
Hmm.
would be easier to use her as the sacred vessel,
Yeah.
which very early in the film, we established that Cecilia's body is not her own. The convent places heavy emphasis on purity, virginity, and obedience. The nuns are treated less as individuals and more as vessels for something divine, which we know that's like what nuns are about anyway.
Hmm.
If you're going to be a nun, you're devoting yourself to a higher power. You're taking your individualism out completely, and you're supposed to, be with this collective. And yeah, I
And
mean,
married to God. And
yeah,
they
you're
actually say
married.
that in the
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
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 So creepy.
Yeah, it's icky. Just icky.
It really is. Yeah. They talk about the discovery of the relics, and we see a lot of associations with the Virgin Mary, and it reinforces the idea of holy reproduction. Motherhood is framed as a sacred duty, not a personal choice in this film. Especially when I saw that relic, the nail that was supposed to be for Jesus. Like I knew that was going to play into this in some way.
Right. Yeah, it's like a Chekhov's gun, like it has to obviously show up later. But also yeah, it was terrifying because you did know you're like, something's not right about this right away. It's like,
No. And the fact that they would be like, oh, we have his DNA on this,
yeah.
like, I don't believe that.
Yeah, I was wondering, I'm like, what? I thinking deeper about this, like maybe as the writer side of me, I'm like, oh, is there some underlying thing where maybe it was actually the scientist father? Is he a pastor father, the cleric? Did he, because he was tired of failing and something
Yeah, it could
there?
be like him doing it
Yeah.
himself,
Hmm.
like his own. Yeah, because how are you getting, well, I mean, I don't even know. They didn't even explain how they were extracting DNA from this
Right.
rusted thing, which in all actuality, she probably needed a tetanus shot, whatever they did to her.
Yeah.
Like, oh God,
Oh
like
my gosh.
so many
Yeah.
diseases.
Oh yeah, that just sounds horribly disgusting. Yeah. Like how did you, yeah, no wonder if it was supposedly Jesus or whatnot, then it probably wasn't anymore. Like it's some like biological it also kind of reminds me of the Shroud of Turin that I think a lot of Christians are obsessed about. It's just like supposedly the mask of Jesus's death, and it's actually supposedly his mask, like his face on this shroud, like the
Oh.
imprint of his death. And it just kind of reminded me of that a little bit too. Like, how do you know for
Hmm.
certainty that it would be actually Jesus? I think even they were grasping for straws with that nail as well. You're just
Yeah, I
assuming.
hadn't heard about that mask. Where is that? Probably in like the Vatican somewhere or something.
Oh, yeah, probably. I have no idea. I should look it up. Also, I'm not sure why that has any significance besides like to me not being a ultra religious person. I did have a religious background when I was younger and
Hmm.
we like I went to a Lutheran private school and things with just like Catholicism without any fun,
Hmm.
basically. To me, I'm like, I don't, what, who cares?
Yeah,
Even if,
yeah.
like,
Like, what does
why?
this mean?
Yeah,
I think it's just like proof that he is real or
right,
something.
right. But then
Yeah.
it's still not proof because
No, it's not.
do we know his DNA? But yeah.
But we can play pretend. It's a story, we're always selling stories.
Hmm.
And, well, I grew up in a religious household, but I'm very much atheist now. So I really don't believe in any of this stuff, although I do see significance in it. I do
Hmm.
see importance in
Hmm.
it, especially, when it's not used harmfully.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Like there are people that it does it keeps them going. It's what, they base their life and their meaning on. And I think it's fine as long as there's no hypocrisy there and it, brings joy to their life. Who am I to say? But yeah.
Yeah. Like my whole thing is freedom of choice. So
Hmm.
once you're
Exactly.
impeding on other people's freedom of choice, then I have a problem with it.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of agency, it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we get the miracle pregnancy, and it's all
Hmm.
very vague when it's happening at the beginning and kind of ominous. Like she's not sure. She starts having these nightmares. We get these like little flashes of something's going on. And they declare that she is miraculously pregnant despite her being a virgin. And they even do like an exam on her to make sure that she's a virgin. And she's very confused. And I feel bad for her in this moment. I actually think she does a good job being shocked and like not believing what they're telling her. Because she
Yeah.
knows there's something weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very subtle. I think they did a great job. Sydney Sweeney did a great job, and the filmmakers did a great job in that. Yeah, you sense like what is it that she's picking up on that she's not just like, oh, yay, I'm pregnant with, the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. Like it's not celebratory. Yet you're right, it's very confusing for her and scary. And yeah, she's obviously picking up on something because as a devoted nun, she's not, yeah, celebrating this occurrence. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. And like the other lady, like she wanted to be pregnant. Like she was willing to drown her because she wanted to be the one that what'd she say as she was drowning
It was
her? She
something
was
like it
like,
was supposed to be me or something like that. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
The scene with the younger woman, and she had like tried to, she was excited about it and was upset that it didn't work out for her. And I think that like also had tied into the theme of like with the older women, it's like a senior living home for nuns as well, it seems like. And then like it just seemed like there was a prominent like theme throughout of like women who like once their utility to the patriarchy had passed, like from that young nun who seemed to have had a miscarriage, the one that tried to kill her.
yeah,
Um, yeah, from a previous failed attempt at um the divine pregnancy, and then to the old nuns who are just like essentially discarded, waiting there for death.
mm-hmm,
Um, I like felt like that was just also kind of symbolic of, or just showing how the vessel thing, the just like you're just useful until you're not to the
mm-hmm.
patriarchy, and once then there's no care. you have no other use to you. And that young woman, she was distraught. I think, you felt for her too, because I think that she was also in such a psychological state. I almost think I don't think that she's like this inherently evil person is what I got. I felt like she had been through the ringer as well and the psychological abuse and everything else.
Like, how many times did they go through this ritual to then have to reset again and again? And
Yeah.
every time they're believing this lie, they're being fed this lie. And for some reason, they think it's immaculate every time, even though how can you have that many? Like, I didn't even think about that. How can you have that many immaculate conceptions? Like, there's no such thing as an immaculate conception, really.
Right.
But to then believe in that many, there's so much cognitive dissonance there.
That's a great word for that. Yes. Yeah. You want to believe your own lies.
They can't possibly be lying to you because then, I mean, then what was their life's work for?
Which is very, yeah, like narcissism as well. And I also found it fascinating that she is supposed to be, or each of these, I guess, immaculate conceptions, but this one with Cecilia, like she's supposed to be Virgin Mary 2.0, but like the Mother Superior is even complicit with the men in their lack of reverence. I thought that was like really interesting, like the complete lack of reverence for her, which is like the complete opposite of how you would think you would treat, like the way you would treat Mother Mary, or you would
Hmm.
treat this divine mother. And it was like, it's almost like they are trying to be God. They're trying to own figures themselves through that, or
Yeah. I feel like with some of that, it's like, especially in old Orthodox beliefs and stuff, like
Mhm.
suffering was good for the more godly you were, the more you
Right.
suffered. That was like a test of endurance, a test of all, your faith,
Hmm.
instead of like, you're just being an asshole and torturing me. But it's like, no, no, we're testing your faith. God is testing you right now.
Right. Yeah. The more he tests you, the more important you are.
Yeah. Another thing that I connected with this too, with her being chosen as the one to have the Immaculate Conception, was she had a near-death experience when
Hmm.
she almost drowned to death, or she did die and she
Right.
was brought back to life. So I felt like, and she kept saying, I think God brought me back for a reason. And so I think they were trying to play into that too, like, oh, this is your reason.
Yes, and she is God stopping them in a way, or maybe it's not God. I don't know. There also could be, is it God's vengeance where she's just so violent, like she has this female rage? Obviously, she's like, I've heard different things too. Like I've heard different things about this film, like different takes on it. Like,
Hmm.
was this actually the Antichrist, like the DNA from the Antichrist on the nail? Like to be very literal about it if you want to go like horror story in that way. Or is it, but I do like that take on it. Like she is God putting a stop to this, if there is like a God in this, you know.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I was kind of thinking. I was like, the priest, he interpreted it as, oh, she's going to be the vessel, like that's why she was saved. But I think in the end, and he was like saying she's going against his will, she's going against, but like for me, I was thinking almost like maybe she is going with God's will and God wants to stop you. Like he even said, God wanted me to stop, he would stop me. Well, now he has.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and that's another piece of it too. I do feel like this is like the fun part about it. It does not wrap everything up, like all of your questions in the end. And yeah, and so Father Tedeschi, at the end, by all intents, should be dead after that fire incident. It's almost like he's like supernatural or has this, he was supposed to be like the Antichrist himself, like if he was the one who did impregnate her, and that's why he's also so, like if it was his spawn or something, like it, why he's so invested even more so in this occurring, I'm not sure if that's even something they were going for, but something I had a question about too, because
Yeah.
he seemed possessed, like evil and
Hmm.
like a monster. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he was definitely a monster.
Well,
He
that's without a doubt. Yeah.
definitely a false prophet, if there
Hmm.
was one.
Yes.
And I imagine like some weird priest man giving his sperm sample and then mixing it with the crumbs, like the little crusties
Um,
of the rusted
yes.
nail or
The
something, and then that would
crusty.
like fuck up the DNA even
Yes.
more. And so I kind of
Mhm.
saw it as like these were just like degraded. It wasn't like whatever they were doing to inseminate the women, and it was very experimental, and they were
Anything.
dealing with old bacteria and stuff. Like I really like I felt like they were just they kept making these mutants basically.
Yeah. Yeah. If anything, missing a lot of chromosomes that should be there. If not, yeah. And trying to fill it in with other things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought about it, but
Yeah.
I mean it could be like Antichrist, but I kind of thought it was like experiments gone wrong.
Yeah. I agree.
Which makes it more interesting, honestly, to me, because we've seen the Antichrist thing done so
Mhm.
much. So it's like
Yeah.
more interesting to me to see like someone trying to rebirth like in this scientific way with like old
Mhm.
DNA. And we see that with, they're doing it with other animals now, right? They've been able to
Yeah.
bring back certain plants or animals. But do we have anything to compare it to? Like, do we know that's really what it should be like?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. How would we know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, same with China. I think it's Jurassic Park. I don't think they
Hmm.
actually have done this yet. No, but they did do this with the woolly mammoth was pair it with an elephant, right? The
Hmm.
DNA they received and everything, and then they were able to produce, unless I'm totally making this up.
Now, there are some things. There's like a thing with a plant. They were able to like bring a plant back to life. I don't know. There's some stuff.
Yeah.
I have to look more into it, but
Yeah.
there's definitely, they
Hmm.
have been successful
Yes.
with these kind
Yeah.
of endeavors
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, and I do think I could see this happening if they found like the shroud. That's what I thought of with the Shroud of Turin is like, oh my gosh, what if someone did try to do that, thinking it's the DNA
Yeah,
of
with whatever
God.
was like
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. So
It's like
weird.
anything could be on it,
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, Cecilia, she feels like she doesn't feel blessed. She's like, she walks around and you can tell she's just like, everyone is saying she's blessed, but she's very confused about it. She's having flashbacks. She knows something's wrong. She's made to question her own reality and ignore the signs that something more is sinister at play. She's constantly being monitored. And I think that's something that she's like looking at the people looking at her and she's like, oh, like I can't do anything. Like her autonomy, her control over herself is completely gone at that point.
Yeah, I mean that I think obviously goes into that lack of agency, but also, I mean, I think it's an exaggerated version perhaps, but when you are pregnant, it does sometimes feel that way where you become the doctors actually have more control over you at that point. Like you do feel sometimes, especially if like for me, I had a cholestasis, intrahepatic cholestasis in both my pregnancies, and you have to go in so much, and it's just like it does feel, oh, and you get so much unwanted criticism or advice or just different things like that, where you do feel like you don't own your body while you're pregnant anymore, and you are being monitored and even like when you're out, like people will like judge you when if you're pregnant.
If you do anything that's deemed as risky at all, you are very much looked down on, or why are you taking that unnecessary risk? Why are you doing this? Why are you? And
Hmm.
people might say, oh, it's 9 months. It's not that long. Like 9 months is a lot longer than you think. And especially, I just covered the movie or I watched the movie Bed Rest, and I can't imagine being like on bed rest and not being able to do anything for like months at a time. That would just be so miserable.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I couldn't wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. It's just more than anything, I mean, when women have to go through the physical, stuff that happens to our bodies and our minds and we're being
Mhm.
drained of everything, but also the mental
Mhm.
aspects of being pregnant, I think are less talked about than even the physical.
Right.
And we talk about it like with postpartum type
Mhm.
stuff, but it starts when you're pregnant.
Yes. Yeah, the flood of hormones and all of that start right away. I never felt so, especially when you do like, and then you add on having like, I had that cholestasis and it makes you unbearably, unbearably itchy. It's like a liver disease during time, and
Oh,
it is enough. I've actually heard of women committing suicide because of it. Like you combine the mental and this, it is like true torture. They'll need like relief for it. I've heard it's like Narcan, which is crazy,
oh
or
yeah.
something like that, because it's
Mm-hmm.
actually something with the nerves. But you
Mm-hmm.
can't obviously take that while pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
like for this like type of thing. But anyway, and it goes away after pregnancy, thank the Lord, but or not the Lord, but
Yeah.
some.
Yeah, but that's so messed up that like you're constantly feeling itchy and
Yes.
like do you turn yellow? Because you said your liver.
Some do,
Like
but
jaundice? Like
yeah,
is it
some do get I didn't, but yeah. But my levels like it's bile, it creates bile in your blood. And it's really dangerous for the baby too, so you have to deliver really early, like pretty early.
oh
Like
wow.
be induced and stuff, and that's a whole other thing. But it is so unbearable. There's nothing you could do about it. It's like if you can imagine the worst, it's like all over your body, but on your feet and your legs, especially. And just this like persistent under your skin. I had to wear like cold packs on my feet, sometimes like anything to try to like get rid of that sensation. It was horrible.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
horrible. It's like, it sounds like having chicken pox for 9 months.
Yeah, probably. Luckily, I never had chicken pox, so I would know, but I heard it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It just sounds so miserable. I'm so sorry you went through that. That's
Oh,
horrible.
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And so many women do, but yeah, I probably took that on a tangent, but it's just like that whole things like that. But yes, the mental health thing and those
Mhm.
things, it's very real. But even that, you're trapped in your body during that time too, like the hormones and that, and there's nothing you can do until you deliver the baby.
It would be really nice if they spent more money on women's health, especially when it comes to women during their maternity and afterwards. Like, I feel like there's not enough research into what can be done to help women during pregnancy.
Mhm. It's like, yeah, it is almost like they don't care. You're gonna have the baby, just suffer through it. It's
Yeah,
temporary.
yeah. Be the martyr. Be the Mother
Yeah,
Mary.
yeah, exactly.
One of the most striking scenes in the film is when Cecilia is being presented to the convent and she's wearing like the ornate blue and gold
Mhm.
ensemble that directly mimics the appearance of the living statue of the Blessed Mother. And it's a visual motif. It's such an elaborate floral gown. It's got the heavy veil. And it's used to frame Cecile's face in a manner of a typical Renaissance era religious portrait. Like she looks immaculate, right? Like that is the image that they have that goes with this film. Using this soft light, there's a glow to it. But even so, when they zoom into her face,
Mhm.
she is not, she's not feeling it.
Yeah, I think she even has tears in her eyes, and yeah, she looks absolutely tormented, honestly.
Yeah.
Uh, there's something about it disturbing to her. Like it's all on the pageantry, and it's like she's a doll, and she's just made to stand there, and like she didn't choose any part of this, and now she's up there being glorified against her will.
Yeah. And she's like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Send me back to America.
Yeah, just like I just got here. Now I'm like on a simple life as a nun.
As her pregnancy goes on, corruption is kind of peeks through. Things are kind of corrode, like that rusty nail that they
Hmm.
impregnated her with. True intentions begin to surface. We get the miracle is revealed to be man-made rather than divine. People are silenced if they speak up, literally having their tongues ripped out. Like the scene when her friend, when she sees, I guess she's looking through like a peephole or something,
Hmm.
and she sees her friend get her tongue
Yeah.
taken out. And I believe, do they also take people's eyes out?
Ooh, I'm not sure. They threw someone off a roof. They may have. I don't recall. I was actually shocked. I didn't realize they were actually going to off her friend completely, that they cut her tongue out. I was like, I thought they'd just let her be, with not being able to speak. But then you see her later on. That was like really horrific when you find her in the tomb or the catacomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was pretty awful. But
Yeah, I thought they were going to let her live too. I
me
was
too.
surprised because I was,
Yeah.
I guess, when it comes to these things, so much of it is ritualistic. So it was like they've probably felt like they had to torture her in a certain way for her to pay for her sins in a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then that is interesting. I'd have to think about that more too. Like, why was it the ultimate silencing too? Like a lot of these people, like, did they knew they were doing something that they needed to hide? I think it's what that's also showing, that if this is so divine and wonderful, why is this something that you have to cover up too?
Mhm.
So,
But, that speaks to the church and their secrets.
that's exactly what they were doing with that, I think. Yeah, obviously Catholicism is known for having the most secrets, but I think that's in any religious institution.
They're just one of the oldest and largest.
Hmm.
So, you
Hmm.
know, by
Yep.
sheer numbers. The use of relics tied to Christ suggests an attempt to recreate or engineer divinity. The whole sequence of events in this pretty much critiques into institutions that claim moral authority while violating bodily autonomy. Like they're just being hypocrites.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, tell me more about that. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that we have a long history of them being hypocrites when it comes to talking about being divine and being good and all these things. And there's so much mean-spirited stuff when it comes to what's in the Bible. So it's
Mhm.
hard to think of everything being this like loving, nurturing, all divine light, but also you're going to suffer for it. It's this
Yeah.
duality that doesn't make sense.
Yes. Yeah. And if you read the Bible, it is interesting because maybe some of these people aren't hypocrites because the Bible is actually pretty horrific. I mean, there's so much, like there's incest, there's sexual assault. I mean, yeah, everything. Like you have to kill your son. Yeah, that just to me, like there's a lot of immorality, like things that would truly be considered immoral today.
The Bible is full of horror stories, and I guess that
Hmm.
would be the First Testament, not the New Testament. There's just a lot, and it can all be interpreted in a bunch of different ways, and that's why we
Hmm.
have so many denominations. It's like, is this
True.
literal? Is this metaphorical? We don't know exactly, but that's why it kind of all goes in the wash for me.
Whether it's a metaphor or not, I'm like, I don't think I want to get a lesson from someone saying you should get your father drunk and have a baby or yeah, that sort
Mhm.
of thing.
When I really start feeling for Cecilia is the ante's kind of upped whenever she is getting her medical exams and her body is deteriorating. She knows there is something wrong. She loses teeth. Yeah, she's vomiting. Her health is just like going downhill. And she's like, what is going on with me? And they're like, oh, the baby's fine. You're fine. She's like, oh, I want a second opinion because I don't feel fine.
Hmm.
And Father Tedeschi denies these requests, says that this is the safest place for her in the convent until the Savior's born, and then she can go to a regular hospital. But we all know how that is. So the female body becomes a site for horror when it is controlled and transformed against its will. But it's also a form of like medical horror as well. And we see this a lot, even if you're not the Mother Mary, where a lot of religions will they'll tell you what you can and can't do medically. Like a lot of women will die because they lose too much blood
Right.
during
And they can't get a
birth.
blood transfusion because
Yeah.
of their religion. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
hmm The religion is the cause of that. And I'll let you elaborate more on that. And then there's something else just about in general, the way I think is horrific, the way women are treated even in the United States when they're giving birth.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the blood transfusion, I didn't need anything like that, but I know, so like I was raised Jehovah's Witness for the most
Mm.
part, halfway, and then Baptist the other half. My sister lost so much blood when she had her baby that she needed a blood transfusion, and my mom was denying it for her. And I think eventually someone said something and finally got through to them, and they decided to go with the blood transfusion, but she would have died if she did not get that blood transfusion. And it's just such a senseless way to die. And I know that there have been some legit concerns when it comes to blood transfusions in the past and diseases that could be passed through blood. But the way that technology has advanced, that stuff doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, at least not in the United States. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
hmm
And it was also so rare that it happened. If I
hmm
have the chance to live, I would rather try to live.
Yeah, rather than certain death
Yeah.
based on, yeah, bleeding to death. Yes, I would as well, given the choice.
So, yeah, tell me about the other medical stuff you want to talk
Yeah,
about.
so I mean, that's one of them, I think. So obviously religion can put a lot of rules upon women that have to do with labor, childbirth, whatnot. But I think the other thing that I think kind of like was shown through this was kind of what happens in real life with women that's still horrific, even in the United States, where so many women still die during childbirth. For a first world country, it should not happen.
Mm-hmm.
But there are just so many times a woman is not listened to. And I think it was like kind of mirroring that even doctors and things that will do. I just think of like, I don't know, some really horrific stories you hear, like even, well, first of all, if you are a marginalized person, you're automatically seen as sometimes more hysteric. Or like if you ask for something, they will not give it to you because they feel like they have the authority, they know better, or
Mm-hmm.
they diminish your pain or the reality of what you're feeling with your own body. And I feel like that was really seen within the movie, the way they were actually medical institutions rather than religious institutions treat women that way. Of like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you don't need this care, or a doctor saying you don't need to go to the hospital. Like this is just this, or you just have gas, or I don't know, like you're
Yeah, like
fine.
you're fine, like playing it
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many ways, honestly, not to scare people, but there are so many ways you can die when you're pregnant. Preeclampsia, blood clots, like you name it. There's a lot of things that can happen for it to be diminished. Even one time is like
Yeah.
one time too many. And then for marginalized people. And then during childbirth, it is really terrifying how dangerous it is for any woman sometimes, especially if there's a complication. And time is also of the essence. But I don't know if you heard about that case in Georgia, for example, with this woman, something really horrific. They were suing the doctor and the hospital because something happened to their infant. And there are different like versions of the story, and it's pretty graphic. I don't if you want to repeat it, but there, if you look it up, it's something where they basically couldn't bury their child. I mean, in one piece, and there is,
Oh,
yeah,
I did hear about that.
yeah, and
That's
supposedly it was
brutal.
something of the child possibly had died during birth,
Mm-hmm.
but also that should not have happened to begin with because she was asking for, I believe, if I'm saying it right. But this is kind of like also generalizing what sometimes happens, is like she was asking for like a C-section or something she couldn't push. And then I think
Mm-hmm.
something happened to the child, and then they had to remove this child from
And they
her.
took it out in pieces.
Yes, just so inhumane and like so horrific. And this is like in this day and age.
Yeah. Yeah. That's terrifying to think about. Like, that's another one of the parts of horrors of pregnancy, carrying a baby all the way to term and then having a stillbirth or something like that.
Mhm.
That is a loss that that person is going to hold forever.
Yes.
It's an issue that we don't really talk about a lot, but is very emotionally damaging. It's very traumatic for everyone involved. And then it adds to later on, when you try to get pregnant, the anxieties of is it going to work this time? And so many things that go into it that's terrifying.
Just by itself.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
When it comes to women and our rights and our listening to our bodies, when it comes to actually giving birth, like they haven't been listening to us for a very long time. Like the position that they put us in, laying on your back, you're not supposed to lay on your
Yeah.
back
No,
to give birth.
that is not how a baby is supposed to come out.
You're supposed to have gravity help you.
Hmm. Yeah, and be able to open up your pelvis enough. And yes.
The whole reason why they started, like I saw this, I don't know how true it is, but I feel like it's true, is
Mhm.
the whole reason why they started women giving birth on their back was for the doctor, for the comfort of the doctor to be able to see what was happening.
Hmm. And that's obviously, I think, still true. Unless you go through a less traditional route, or you have a midwife or whatnot. But other than, yeah, at a hospital, it's still for the doctor, for the nurses, because it's also run like a factory.
Hmm.
So they need to get you in and out. They can't be, they have all these other people to take care of. And so it's more efficient for them.
Hmm.
And yeah, and not for the comfort of the mother during one of the most horrifically painful and uncomfortable experiences that there are.
It's crazy how that was normalized. Like it was started out as a way to benefit the men, and then everyone was just like, "Yep, that's how it is now."
Yeah, why
Oh,
change something that's not working? Right.
yeah, right. From that point on, when she starts showing signs of just hesitation, like she's like, I want to go to the doctor. I'm
Mhm.
having all these things happen to me. I'm losing my teeth. She probably losing her hair. She's not doing well. If anything, that doesn't like they're not being more nurturing to her because she isn't doing well. They're coming on to her even harder, restricting her even more. Her surveillance is even stronger at that point.
Mhm.
So her isolation just gets deeper and more extreme. And she feels this and she wants a way out. So she fakes a miscarriage with the bird, chopping the bird's head
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And that is such a great scene. I love, like, we're getting, to the climax now of she's now trying to take some agency back. She's like,
Yeah.
I know how I can trick you.
Hmm.
I'm bleeding.
Yeah, you care more about losing the baby than my health. So maybe for the baby's sake, you'll take me to the hospital. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But that stupid bitch,
I'm like, cell phones, why?
yeah,
So
like
different. She's such a traitor to all
such a
women.
traitor.
And that's it.
And that's why we don't trust male-centered women.
Hmm. Yes,
Anyone
exactly.
who is, this is definitely like a thing with the patriarchy, right? So
Hmm.
anyone who is just like serving the agenda of the patriarchy is like, you are not to be trusted. I do not trust you.
Yeah, especially someone who is like perpetuating it almost intentionally. Like with it feels almost like intentional and with malice, like somebody who's perpetuating these themes on other women.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's like the more brainwashed, and of course, like you don't trust either, but then I feel like there's
Hmm.
the more brainwashed bunch, like speaking of our like mothers and grandmothers,
Hmm.
who will be so progressive sometimes in so many other ways, and yet are just will still perpetuate certain things, like the domestic expectations or like women seen as like domestic laborers and that is their like if they're not doing that, it doesn't matter what else they're doing in their life.
Yeah, there's something about the cruelty of that. And I think we see that in this, like whenever she is brought back to the room, the father, he's disappointed and he's like mad with her. But the way that the nun treats her when she gets back to the room, she's like yelling at her, screaming at her.
Yeah. And that is, what do you think that means? I'm interested on your take.
I mean, I think we're harder on each other whenever it comes to this stuff because it's one of those things where in The Handmaid's Tale also, women are harder on other women than men ever are. That's how the patriarchy has really created it because they're like, and there's this self-fulfilling prophecy that goes along with that. Like, if you don't do this, these other things are going to happen to you. So those other things don't even have to happen because the initial thing's going to happen to keep you in line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so ingrained that it just is like hard to even, I think, don't even know like that they're doing it. It's just like, why are you so worried about it? That's what I've had to ask certain people in my life too. Like, why does this bother you? Like, why? Why are you angry about this? Like speaking about a woman being upset about something. Does it feel like it reflects on you somehow? It just seems out of nowhere. Like, why? I almost think too, it's like a Pavlov's dog type situation where I think women are so used to being rewarded in a weird way by men. So you get like, oh, good dog type of situation, when you're like, you get privileges or benefits or attention by men in your life by reinforcing these things. And I think it's so systemic and insidious that people don't even realize they're operating that way sometimes.
So she gets brought back, and that's when they brand her on her feet to keep her from getting out. And because they feel like, oh, now we have you trapped. Now we have where you can't walk, you can't escape. So then he slowly starts to let his plan unravel, and she finds out that, it's really this radical scientific thing, a theological experiment to clone Jesus Christ using genetic material from a rusty holy relic. And I'm just not going to get rid of, like, rust is so gross, and the fact that they're like, no.
It cracks me up. Yeah, it's definitely a rusty baby.
Like, no wonder it's like all fucked up. Like, come on.
It's all red. Like, I just think of that too. It's like you can kind of see it all red and gross, like in the distance. You're like,
Yeah, but he was a former biologist, and what would he say? Father Tedeschi discovered blood and bone fragments on one of the holy nails used. But how are you finding bone fragments, first of all? Okay, how? But whatever, it's a movie. We'll
maybe that's
look past
that.
it.
Yeah.
And apparently he spent 20 years trying to extract this DNA to create a viable embryo. And his ultimate goal was to usher in the second coming of the Messiah on his own terms, that's not godly. And he believed that if God didn't stop him, like I had mentioned earlier, because God hadn't stopped him yet, that it was being divinely sanctioned. He says, if this is not the work of God, why does God not stop us? And to that I say, you have now been stopped by Cecilia.
Yeah, that we could just end there. That was good.
Yeah.
Yep, you were stopped.
Yes. Are we done for real?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could stop. We could.
No.
He should have stopped.
He should have stopped.
Yes.
She stopped him.
Yes.
He's a badass.
Yeah. So then we get the birth as violence, and this is our climax. And she kills Mother Superior and the Cardinal, and Cecilia douses father Tedeschi's genetic laboratory in ethanol. And when Tedeschi tries to stop her, she ignites the chemicals, trapping him inside, burning the lab while she flees into the catacombs below the convent. And apparently this wasn't in, like, as I was doing my research, this part was not in the script and they added it in. But it's very creepy. Like, catacombs are just, they freak me out. I would never want to be in a catacombs by myself.
No, I don't think I would ever want to be in a catacomb period, but I mean, I probably will, like in Paris one day, just because curious, but
Like, they're kind of cool. I'm sure,
yeah.
like, it's creepy. It's very creepy. I don't know why it's more creepy than a graveyard, but it is.
Yeah, you're trapped in underground. I guess
Mhm.
that adds to it, of course. Yeah, you're right. There's something about it, like caves. I feels like if there were something supernatural, it would definitely be down down there. I don't know why. But
Like,
yeah,
it's trapped. Like, it can't get out.
I almost feel like, I mean, like how far does it go, first off? Or like it's like a maze or something. Like, can you imagine something worse than getting stuck in something like that? I can't. Like that's
No,
probably it's
that
like
would be
being in the ocean.
terrifying. We do see her dead friend. And
Hmm.
so that is a little, that's like a jarring scene. And it's like, oh shit, like they just put her there. He eventually gets out and he's also driven by fanaticism. And so he gets out and he pins her down. Oh, he has like the scalpel because he wants to give her a C-section and just take the baby out of her.
I forgot about that part.
So
Yes, that.
that's like fucked up because then you're just
Mhm.
really discarding the mother because you're
Mhm.
not going to sew her up. You're not planning on giving her like a nice surgery. You're going to take the baby and go.
Mhm.
And that is not how this works. So,
I mean, that's like when you hear about the like women, stealing other women's babies and stuff, like just oh gosh, yeah, horrific.
yeah. And that's another terrifying topic. The movie Inside definitely does that horror. If
I
you've
have to
seen
watch
that
that.
movie,
Mm-mm. Yeah, I need to.
it's terrifying. I
Or
mean,
maybe I
it's
don't. I don't
maybe, yeah,
know.
it's a French extreme horror movie about a woman who's trying to get another woman's baby out of her belly. So pretty fucked up. And it's one of the most gory. People have a really hard time finishing it. I watched it all the way through. I don't think it was hard to watch. I just think it was really fucked up.
And that actually does happen. And yeah, that scene in this movie, it does play upon a fear. I mean, you're so vulnerable anyway, and the fact that someone could just literally treat you like that. Like it's just yeah, that's your only purpose. And they could just discard you and it's still your body, like it is your
Yeah.
body. Even if
Yeah.
there's another body inside your body. Like
hmm
it's yeah.
And for what? For a deformed little red iron like rich baby.
Yeah, I want to see that thing grow up actually. See what that was.
Terrifying.
Mm.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
So, but she had the holy nail relic with her. She was smart.
Mhm.
She grabbed that on her way out. So she was able to stab Father Tedeschi through the throat with it, which is, that's exactly where you want to stab someone with a rusty nail, I would say.
Mhm. That's the jugular, right? Go for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
jugular. Just as they were silencing everyone else, of course, like she silenced him,
hmm
he couldn't speak anymore either, obviously, because he's dead, but also because she stabbed him in the neck.
And then we get her actual rebirth through destruction. So in the final
Mhm.
act, she goes out there, and this is the most brutal scene. I think this is where I really fell in love with this movie, was this specific scene where she's giving birth. She's screaming. It's
Mhm.
so visceral. I'm also thinking, like, how the fuck is everyone not running out right now?
Oh, I know, because she's out in the open now, and they still have that convent over there. I mean, I feel like you could hear that for a mile away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that echoes.
Hmm.
And she was like next to the building, I felt like. She was still right
Yeah.
there.
I do wonder, she did kill all of the men, that like the major, so maybe the women were almost like captives or it's kind of a good for her moment, you know?
True. like she plops that baby out. It's on the ground. It's making these like weird noises, like almost like growls. Like it's not,
Yeah, it didn't have that baby cry, none of that. Yeah.
I am not holding you. I am not.
I know, I wonder what I would think too, like, but there would be nothing, yeah, about that baby. I mean, honestly, I did not feel that way about my daughter, but she was my second birth. But when they put her on my chest right after, and I had a C-section,
Mhm.
it was actually pretty terrifying for me. I'm not even kidding because it was like a little creature. And like all of a sudden she's like just going for my boob and it was kind of like that to be honest. She just wasn't red and like totally she had to cry, but it freaked me out, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think that it's a weird thing that they just plop the babies on us. Because I remember too, there was definitely a moment where I had just finished having the baby, like I'm being stitched up, and they plop the baby on you. And I definitely looked down and I was like, oh, okay. It could fall. Like, why'd you?
Well,
I'm in a haze. Like,
yeah, she was moving so much too, my daughter, that's another worry I had was like I could literally drop her.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you're not like propped up nicely, like ready to coddle your baby. Like, you're on your back. Like, they lay you flat on your back.
Yes.
It's an awkward position to hold a
Hmm.
baby anyway, but especially after you just
Hmm.
gave birth to that baby.
Like you can't
No,
get me
it's
comfortable first.
yeah,
But then
like
like
can't
yeah, there should be a way prop you up a little. At least you could like, I don't know, something.
yeah, something. And I know there's like something about like the first whatever. I don't know if it's like a myth or not. I feel like it's an old wives' tale that, you have to have the skin, like the contact,
Right.
like within the first few minutes or something. They say that it's not good if you don't, but like I don't know if that's true at all.
Yeah, and I bonded my son, my firstborn, I didn't get to hold him at all. He had to go to the NICU right away.
Hmm.
And we bonded just fine. I mean, he's just fine. We bonded fine, so.
Yeah, I really don't think it means anything. I really
Mm-mm.
think it's just bullshit. It's just like another way to guilt new moms, expecting moms. This is the bar that we're giving. You're going to be uncomfortable, you're going to be in pain, you're going to be confused, and then you're also going to have to then care for that baby immediately.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So I can see why. So she has this grunting baby now.
Yeah. She doesn't even think about it. She just
Mhm.
like looks at it. She's like, no. And she goes, grabs a rock,
Mhm.
and,
And unceremoniously, I'm sure she squished it. I don't, does it show it?
ah, they show her go up with the rock and then she's coming down, but I don't think they show it. I think then it like cuts.
Yeah.
So we don't see like the deceased baby or anything, but that thing wasn't living very long anyway.
Yeah, sadly, it didn't seem like it would have. The
No.
purple thing. Sorry, it's so not funny.
No, no, no. I mean, I would not. I know there are people that are like, oh, I would love my baby no matter what.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. It was also born of a rusty needle
Right.
nail.
Yes. And I do think, I mean, obviously it's like a metaphor as well. So I think it obviously spoke to it, like a not so subtle nod to pro-choice. I think it was actually very similar to like, say, a woman being forced to have a baby after like a violent essay, like
Mhm.
um, or through after an abusive relationship, things like that. And, then still being forced to care for something that she didn't feel was like made by her choice or out of love or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I think there's like definitely that, nod to that. And then I do think for the movie's sake, I think there is something there that maybe it was possibly like a demon baby or something as well.
Mhm.
Maybe like Rosemary's Baby type of thing, but just to also feel better about the baby being squished.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is a brutal scene, but when you take everything into consideration, I'm like, it's fine. Yeah. She's taking back her autonomy. She's, I don't think that thing was making it very far. And it was against her will. Like, not that I wish. I am very pro-choice and I'm but I feel like pro-life isn't the people who are like pro-life. They're not pro-life, they're pro-birth.
Yes. Yeah, they don't take care of mothers or children.
No. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the movie. I think with your book, what are some comparisons that you have to this movie in your book?
There actually are quite a bit. So in my book, there's a cult and there's like a midsummer type, I think, feel to it, but as well. But this cult is also run by women and it is women policing other women. But there is also a biological exploitation of like a biological entity for the use of a man and corporation and things like that. So there's that side to it as well, where there's, without giving away too much, but I think at like the start of it, there's like basically there is this sentient fungus living within the mining towns, kind of like catacombs, right? But the the mining tunnels that they've learned to source, like ecologists have kind of like studied it quietly, and there's like naturopaths and things that but then they find a way to exploit it. Like this doctor actually tries to manipulate it, and he takes in these women, these vulnerable postpartum women. He's like the reason for them even being at this retreat, and he's kind of taking advantage of the cult beliefs of this group of women for his own gain. So it does have a lot of that. And also there is like a part to it of women being a vessel, the babies having it, like the women and the babies having a use, for something more insidious. But yeah, I think it has a lot of those threads in it.
Okay. So are they pregnant when they go there, or had they already had the baby?
So in this one, they have already had the baby, so it's not totally focused on that, but there is like an element of where it's almost like a rebirth to it, that I like don't want to give away too much, but there is like another, I guess, what do you call like a stand-in for that? So they do already have the babies. There is one person that actually does show up pregnant as well there, and that's like the exception, but yeah.
Okay. It sounds really interesting. I'm looking forward to reading your book whenever it comes out.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I will send it to you early, so if you're interested.
Yeah, no, I'm very interested. I think this is a really interesting topic that hasn't been explored enough.
Yeah, and that it's our job to, I think, talk about these things. I think that's what horror does a great job of, bringing the things that we're not supposed to talk about to the forefront or haven't been talked about, like in your face where you can't avoid it. So yeah, we need to have more of these conversations, and I'm glad that you're doing that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for talking with me. Is there anything you want the audience to know before I let you go?
Well, I've had a wonderful time talking with you. This is such an amazing show that you do, and I love following you. If anyone is interested in following me, I can be found on Instagram and Threads, author KJ Brantley, and that's where you can get updates on my book coming out and any of those types of things. And then I do also run the SoCo Women in Horror Fest. So if you like these themes that we're exploring and you want to be a part of a community that's uplifting this kind of work and other work in the horror genre, please stay tuned with the SoCo Women in Horror Fest, which is on Instagram at Women in Horror Festival Co. And our event is annual in Colorado, and we will have it again in March. But if you sign up for, follow us, sign up for the email list, can be, part of some exciting updates. And yeah, and stay tuned for my podcast as well, the Uncanny Women podcast.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see what comes of everything. Let's end on a high note. weekly horror update. Indie horror has been extremely successful with movies like Backrooms and Obsession still being obsessed over weeks later. I think his wish worked. We also have Scary Movie 6 coming out in theaters this Friday. It's already being bashed on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's no surprise because we know that critics hate horror comedy, and especially spoof horror comedy. I know the jokes are going to be cheap. I know that it's not winning any awards, but I look forward to seeing this movie and I think it's going to be fun. I have a segment called Indie Horror Highlights where every other week I have an episode where I interview an indie horror director, and then I also cover a movie with a guest the following week. So I have like a on-off thing. I have been working on my script and I got into a really big flow, and then I did like my 5th revision and I'm feeling really, really good about it right now. I'm currently waiting for 2 reviewers to give me feedback on my screenplay and see what it gets scored as. I'm really hopeful that it's going to be good. So I should be getting that by the end of this week, early next week, which once I have that, I'm going to kind of know how I plan out the next few months, my trajectory of how I'm going to make this movie. So I am a little bit inconsistent right now with my podcast, and it's because I'm so focused on my script and the screenwriting process and trying to get all of that done. I am a one-woman show. I do everything on my own scheduling, my own editing, my own social media, my own research. It will be nice if I one day get to a point where I have assistance with these things, but I'm not there yet. So right now I am in the phase where I just have to grind and grind until I get it done. And it makes for really long days, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end. So thank you for sticking with me through all my inconsistency with my podcast lately, because I am behind right now. I will have 2 episodes coming out in a row. One might be Friday and then the other Saturday. I'm not sure. Right now, I'm going to be completely honest. It is Thursday and I am recording this Thursday night. I am editing it right when I'm done. And then I am mixing together my audio that I've already edited from my previous recording with my guests. And then I have to also get some audio clips and then put those in too. And because I have a certain way that I do things, and I am very particular about, like, I'm either going to put it out and it's going to be the way I want it, or I'm not going to put it out. And that's just the way that I function. I cannot put out something that I do not feel good about. I don't know who else is that way, but I cannot. Like, I would rather sit on my hands than do something that I'm not proud of. So that's why sometimes I just don't put it out, because I haven't put my final touches on it, and I'm a perfectionist. I am an OCD perfectionist. So thank you for sticking around and bearing with me as I do all these things and continue to try to grow. So here's my spiel really quick before I end this all. This is a weekly podcast with new episodes out every Friday. All the research, writing, and audio is done by yours truly. This is a one-woman show, and I am doing my very best. Please rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen. It really, really means a lot. You can find me on Instagram at Scream Queen Podcaster, Blue Sky at Scream Queen Podcast, TikTok at Scream Queen Podcast, and there is a link tree that will take you to my YouTube and Facebook page as well. Remember, trust yourself, trust your body. If you feel like something is wrong, go see a doctor. Don't listen to anyone that tells you not to see a doctor. Always get a second opinion. Always, always. And you think that stuff doesn't happen? It does. So make sure you're taking care of yourself and the woman around you. And let's fight for women's rights once more, because we need that shit back. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.